you know, that's the only thing I regret in boxing is not getting the opportunity to fight guys like Thomas Hitman Hearns, Roberto the Hands of Stone, and the legendary Sugar Ray Leonard. I never really had no interest in fighting Marvin Hagler because when I was a young fighter coming up, you know, I used to train with Marvin in Las Vegas. I used to go run with him, and he was always just a class guy. And plus, he's an older gentleman, and I didn't want to feel like I was picking on an older guy. And, you know, Marvin was a great champion, take nothing from him. He inspired me to be a great champion, so, you know, I love him. I didn't want an opportunity to test my skills with the Ray Leonards, the Thomas Hearns, the Roberto Durans, just to see how good I really was because, you know, fights won inside the ring. And, you know, I've never been a guy that goes, you know, spatting off. Let's get in the ring and test our skills and, you know, we'll determine who wins the fight.
What happened with you and Leonard at Botany's Disco? I was there.
Well, what happened, I just knocked Colin Bay out in 88 seconds of the first round. You know, Ray's the big man in Vegas, and now I'm the new guy in town. So when I come in to the nightclub, everybody started focusing their attention on me. So Ray got maybe a little upset or whatever, and we had some words, but we rectified it. You know, Ray's a tremendous champion, a great champion, and I talked to him regularly, and, you know, I just wanted to fight him, and no disrespect, and just see who the best guy was. It was never about nobody being tough. It was just about, you know, we was fighting, and we was the best fighters in the world, and when you're the best fighters in the world, I'm a firm believer in you're supposed to fight the best guys in the world, and, you know, that's all I ever wanted to do. I don't care who it was and where they're from, and if they were champions or they're contenders and they deserved the opportunity to fight, I want to give them the golden opportunity because they gave me an opportunity, and I think that's only right. But unfortunately, when I got to that level, guys didn't want to fight me, so I was just, you know, left out. I was an oddball.
Let me ask you this. I mean, is it too, like we had Julian Jackson? He was calling Sugar Ray out. So is it too late for some sort of exhibition? It's not the same because you guys aren't at the top of your game. Or would you still be open to some sort of Ray Leonard exhibition? Michael Nunn, Ray Leonard?
If Ray wants to do an exhibition, I'd be more than happy to accommodate him. You know what I'm saying? You know, any legendary fighter, I mean, you know, just when it is an exhibition, it's not like nobody's going to win the fight. It's like we go out and we put on a dynamite performance and we show the fans a good fight, you know? I mean, unfortunately, we couldn't do it 20 years ago, but if I had to go to an opportunity to do it with Ray or Tommy or, you know, whoever else is maybe qualified, I don't know the condition of Marvin Hagler. I know he's a lot older, so I mean, he's probably not interested.
Who was the strongest puncher you faced?
I would probably say Iran Barkley. He was super strong. We both made the 160-pound division, but it's like when I got in the ring with him, it was like a middleweight fighting against a heavyweight. He was just so much more physically stronger than I was at that time. So, you know, he was a very hard puncher.
Okay. What about the best boxer?
I fought a lot of good boxers. You know, Donald Curry was a great boxer. You know, Marlon Starling was a great boxer. Frank Tate was a great boxer. I fought a lot of good boxers, but I just had the styles to be able to out maneuver and out punch him or whatever. But you know, I fought a lot of good boxers, man. You know,
you can't, yeah, but not one of them wouldn't like necessarily stand out. There's like a few at the top, but not one at the top of the mountain, let's say.
No, I mean, you know, guys like Frank Tate, he would have to stand out because he wasn't just an outstanding amateur fighter. He was a world champion. And then Donald Curry, he was another super sensational fighter. Was heralded as one of the best fighters in the world once upon a time in the late 80s. So, I mean, you know, there was superior boxers. You know, I was just better.
Okay.
If I mention the phrase, I pity the fool, who am I talking about?
You talking about Mr. T, the one and only, my man.
Tell us about your relationship with him when he used to show up at all your fights.
You know, Mr. T, you know, he was a great inspirator for me due to the fact that, you know, he come from the same background I come from. You know, he grew up in the Chicago neighborhoods, and, you know, he come from the projects and things. So we had a lot in common, and he was always a straightforward dude. And he used to always tell me, he said, Mike, you know, your friends would never understand you because they're not millionaires. And it's not that you're bigger or better than them, but they don't live like millionaires. They don't do the things a millionaire do. And he put things in perspective because I'm like, well, what are you saying? I didn't understand it, but now I understand it. You know, a guy that don't fight for $1 million a fight, and he's out in the streets doing things, it's all right for him to do it because he's not getting recognized like you are. So, you know, when you're in certain predicaments and situations, you got to conduct yourself a certain way because you're always being judged, no matter what, whether you like it or not. You know, a lot of times celebrities or whatever you want to call it, they say we're celebrities, but I never looked at myself like a celebrity, but, you know, a lot of people do. And, you know, you always want to act in a professional way, no matter where you're at, whether you're in the boxing ring or you know, business meeting, you're in the streets, you're in a bar, you in a wherever, yet you always want to act like you're civilized, you got sense, and you know, because you're always being judged. So, and Mr. T used to give me a lot of advice on stuff like that, and I really appreciate his guidance and his tutelage, and you know, him inspiring me to want to be the best.
Who was who would you say had the most heart as a fighter that you faced? Most heart.
A lot. You know, understand one thing. You know, I would have to say a lot of guys out of my professional career, a lot of tough guys. You know what I mean? They was determined to really beat me. So there's a whole lot of guys, not just one specific guy, but it's a whole lot of them. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, guys, they want to fight and beat a Michael Nunn. You know what I'm saying? I had a big name, so you know, guys want to get their reputation on. So you know, they went to training camp, they prepared, and they done everything they had to do to try to get the victory, just like I did. And you know, I was fortunate enough to win 90% of my matches, and I thank God for that. But a whole lot of tough guys. You know, I would be remiss not to say that because I fought a whole lot of tough guys. Okay. A lot of relentless tough guys. A lot of, I mean, guys that had hearts, man, bigger than a schoolyard playground. Because you know, to fight and to put yourself in a predicament to be able to become a world champion, you got to go through different kind of hoops. And you got to prepare your mind, your body, your spirit, and you just got to just be the best you can be, man. And a lot of those, hey, look, a lot of guys, man, a whole rack of guys, you know, they come to fight every night, and I don't take nothing from them because they wanted to beat me like I wanted to beat them.
Okay. What about, so how about this? What about, like, who's your favorite fighter to watch besides yourself? Is there anybody that you like? Classics, modern?
Well, if we go back through the history of time, I would have to say the legendary Muhammad Ali, Ray Robinson, Joe Louis, you know, like a lot of the older fighters, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I got a couple of young fighters that are like now, you know, the Tank Davises, the Earl Spences, the Crawfords, the kid they named the Monster over in Japan. He's knocking out everything moving. And then, you know, yeah, I mean, you know, hey, there's a lot of good fighters, you know, the Manny Pacquiao's and, you know, things of that nature. You know, there's a lot of good fighters, man, you know, and I like fighting. I like watching the lighter guys fight because they seem to, you know, put all the action in, you know. So I'm a big fan of, you know, the welterweights or the middleweights on down. But, you know, I mean, the heavyweights get it on too when you got the right heavyweights in there. But, you know, I like watching, you know, different classes, different styles. And, you know, I'm a big fan of the great sport of boxing. I love it.
What about, so here's your question, your opinion on the greatest of all time. Who do you think the greatest fighter of all time is?
Of all time, I would probably have to say the legendary Muhammad Ali or, Sugar Ray Robinson. But, you know, you can always, you know, beg to differ because you got Sugar Ray Leonard, you got your Joe Lewis's, you know, and we can't take nothing from them. Your Roberto Duran's, your marvelous Marvin Haglers, the Thomas Hitman Hearns's. So, you know, you got a variety of guys and, you know, they're all great to me. You know what I'm saying? I just, you know, I admire all of them because there's something special about all of them that, you know, I learned. And, you know, I go back and watch all the great fighters and, you know, try to learn some of their tactics.
Okay.
I left one guy out by the name of Carlos Monzon. He was always one of my favorite fighters. When I was a young kid growing up here in the Quad Cities in Davenport, I used to always watch him fight. He would always fight over in like Monaco, and I think Bob Arum was promoting him. And you know, he's from Argentina. I think if he'd have maybe lived in the United States, you know, he's considered one of the greatest middleweights of all time. Anyway, but I think if he lived in America, he probably could have got a little bit more attention. But he's fighting over in South America. He's fighting over in Argentina. Not to take nothing from him, but was he a legendary great? He was one of the best. And even Salvador Sanchez, he was a Mexican featherweight champion. He was also another legendary great fighter that I enjoyed watching as a young man growing up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Monzon, I think he avenged every one of his losses. You know, that's a unique thing that I think I remember when I was researching that every guy that he lost to, like 3 of them, he eventually avenged those losses. I could be wrong.
Okay, I know he had a whole lot of wins, and he was a super champion. I think he had like maybe 15 or 16 or maybe 18 title defenses. He had a lot of title defenses. I think Bernard Hopkins, I think he might have tied his record or came close to it or something, you know what I'm saying? You know, but we've had a lot of great fighters, you know what I'm saying? And from different variety of weight divisions. So, you know, hey, you know, you can go through every weight class in the history of boxing and you could always pick somebody great out of it. So, you know, my thing is I just admire watching great fighters.
Yeah.